So, Rhett, where are we at this point in fall? How you feeling?
I feel good. We're basically at the end of fall camp. I mean, tomorrow we'll go in the stadium and we'll have a lot of a situational scrimmage. You know, we've done a lot of good work over the last 14 days, a lot of teamwork in practice. So it won't be like a 100-play tackle everybody scrimmage. But we are 2 weeks away from playing, so it'll be a lot of situational stuff. Some guys will get more work than others. And then we start school Monday and we start to get in the routine.
Speaking of scrimmages, how did last scrimmage go, and what did you see from that scrimmage throughout this week?
It went good. You know, by design, it was situational as well. There was a lot more live work. Get to see guys tackle, not get tackled, and who can be physical. But we've had a really physical camp. By design, guys have done a great job buying into it. We've got a lot of guys beat up and banged up, but we've been fortunate to not have a lot of major critical injuries at this point. And so now we're to the point where we've got to have a good, crisp day tomorrow, get ready to start school, and try to get our legs back and get fresh for 2 weeks from now.
Your first fall camp running things, just kind of how did that go from being a head coach standpoint?
Yeah, I think good. I mean, I'd be lying if I said it's like riding a bike because I've never been a head coach, but it feels natural because I'm coaching. That's what I do. I mean, probably the biggest adjustment for me is just not being in the QB room constantly and just running an offense, but leading the whole thing. But I've enjoyed it. I get to know the defensive guys better, and I love thinking the game at every facet, not just on offense, and so it's given me the ability to do that.
You've mentioned a few times that the core value of your team, or what you want it to be, is competitive excellence. So how have you seen that played out during fall camp?
It's a great question. Yeah, one of the 4 core values is competitive excellence, and we just believe in competing in everything. Whether you're competing for your starting job or your backup job or just in practice, whether it be a 2-minute drill, third down, red zone, whatever. That's what the game is. That's what life is. And I know me, if I'm pushed and I have to compete and I'm uncomfortable, I'm at my best. I may not like it, but I'm at my best, as opposed to when I'm able to relax, you know. And so we're just trying to bring out the best in everybody. And I think the guys have bought into knowing that even if I'm probably a starter, having someone compete and push me makes me better, makes them better, and that's kind of the whole basis of it.
Speaking of competing and pushing each other, RJ Maryland looked like he had a great week. So what can you speak on his performance so far, kind of stepping in as a freshman into that tight end spot?
RJ's done a really good job. You know, 14 days as a freshman. Tight end, our offense is tough because you're half a receiver, you're half a tight end. You got to block, you got to run routes, you got to protect. And I think for a young guy who played out wide primarily in high school and did a great job, he's done a really, really good job of picking it up. He's going to help us this year. He's going to have to play at times, and I can see him getting better as the season goes on.
You mentioned physical by design, and obviously this was you were on the staff, but one of the stories about SMU in recent history is kind of fading at the end of the year. I guess how much of a challenge is trying to think about November and December right now?
It's a challenge because we got to worry about September, you know, or otherwise November doesn't matter. Yeah. So, and I think our schedule's probably a little more balanced this year than it's been, but. It is a fine line. You know, you've got to be physical. You got to practice physical if you want to be physical. You got to practice toughness if you want to be tough. At the same time, you don't want to get guys hurt, and it's inevitable everywhere around the country in fall camps. Guys are getting hurt. And, guys have done a good job of trying to fight through things they could, and we're hopefully going to get some guys back this week that have been missing some time. But we've had to do that to be physical, and if we want to play good defense and stop the run, if we want to be able to run the football when it matters, goal line, short yardage, end of game to run the clock out, like. Doesn't just happen. You know, we got kids that are tough. They're not scared. They're willing, but you got to practice it to do it. It's like everything else. And so we challenged them. We've ran a lot more team reps probably in practice than most places anywhere I've ever been to. But that's been by design to continue to keep playing the game and kind of toe that fine line of not being too much to where you're going to get guys hurt, but just enough to where we feel like we're prepared when we start playing.
So in a way, maybe this is too simplistic, but the kind of the risk, quote unquote, of what you guys might look like from a health standpoint down the road is worth the reward in the intermediate.
I mean, you can't coach scared, and injuries are part of our game, and so yes, you run the risk of that. But I know this: if you don't practice tough and you don't practice to be physical, then you're for sure going to lose. So you have to, to your point, run the risk a little bit of doing it responsibly, but doing enough work that gets you where you can be tough and physical, knowing that you may lose some guys along the way. Fortunately, I think overall we're going to come out of it pretty good, and hopefully these next 2 weeks we can stay healthy as we get ready for the season.
How close are you to a 2 deep as far as maybe knowing who fits in it, but not necessarily the order?
Yeah. After tomorrow, we have a good idea, but really after tomorrow, on Sunday, our guys will be getting ready to go to school. We'll have a big personnel meeting as a staff, and it'll start to really take shape. And we'll go into next week knowing, look, here's the starters, or at least the 2 guys rotate here. who's guys we think can help us maybe as the year goes on, who's not quite ready. It's just the reality. We're 2 weeks away. It's time to start kind of getting the technical.
I think one thing we haven't really talked about are just special teams. Obviously, you bring in a punter and a kicker, a transfer and a freshman. Just what have you seen from that special teams unit?
I think it's been good. I mean, Craig Nyberg does a great job. I mean, I can tell you just we're going to be organized. We're going to be prepared. From a kicking standpoint, obviously bringing in Ryan, a lot of experience punting. Bringing in Colin, true freshman kicker, we think he has a lot of promise. He's a freshman. He's had some great days, and he's had some not so great days. That's part of it. And then having Hall back, I mean, he can do it all. He can kick off. He's got a big leg, place kicker and punting. It's a matter of consistency and some things. So we feel fortunate to have those three specialists.
I mean, we talk about QB competition a lot, but do you have a set plan for kicking right now, or is it going to?
We have a pretty good idea of how we think it's going to be. Obviously, the last 2 weeks we've been kind of gauging that. That's another thing we'll discuss on Sunday. If we still want to go with the route we kind of thought we would, or if things have tweaked. And so, I think by the time we start next week, we'll have a pretty tentative plan in place.
I know you talked about, coming in and all the administrative stuff, and it was fun to now get to coach. Now you've gone through fall camp. How now fun is it that shift to now game planning and actually getting ready for some opponents?
It's all that matters. I mean, we do all of this, all the stuff you do year round. It all matters. But at the end of the day, you play 12 games. You got to win. Nobody really cares why you don't win. We got a heck of a schedule. I've said it. I think it's consistently the hardest since 2018. And some measuring sticks, it may be the hardest since about 16 or 15. We got a great league, great schedule, great non-conference schedule, and that's all that matters. So we do all of it for 12 days out of the year. But so now we get into those weeks where we're starting to plan for those 12 days.
With offensive line, obviously chemistry is huge. How close are you? I mean, obviously schools are probably.
Yeah, no, I think we're close. We've had some of those guys, or some of the guys that have gotten banged up and missed some time, but none of them for the season. And so I think we're starting to. I think we have a pretty good idea. Again, that'll be a big discussion we have on Sunday. Of okay, let's get them in a place to where we can get that continuity. That's probably the only negative when you have guys out. You don't get as much of the continuity through fall camp as you'd like. But fortunately as well, I think we're going to have them all healthy. And so now it's about somewhat what's best now, but also projecting week 3, week 4, week 5, what we think the best group would be. And the positive is with the guys being out, we've developed some depth too. So hopefully we'll have – you need about 8 guys that you feel like you can put in the game and win with to feel somewhat comfortable having the season, because that's the spot that usually